Okay. So good morning, everyone. So, so what I said in the last class is like, yeah, online students. Is it clear, all of you? Yes. So in the last class, I said about like how to. I think everyone is installed VS Code, right? Yes, created one project, created or not created. Okay. So I said yesterday how to and what is the directory structure of a web application. I said web application or website directory structure is divided into number of folders. So generally, mainly you have two folders. One is public and one more is SRC. I said public folder contains all the static files or static resources, and SRC folder contain all dynamic resources, right? You find all the dynamic resources in which folder SRC. But this directory structure might be various when you move to server-side programming like Spring or if you are working with Django, you don't have the same directory structure. This directory structure might be changed. Okay. But if you are working with UI, only UI, you can follow this directory structure. That is, one is public and one more is SRC. And after that, I said, what is a website is? I said, website or web application is a virtual directory or a path exist in what is web server. Okay. So I said, what is a virtual path and what is a physical path? So a local directory or location where all application resources are stored or saved. That is called as which path? Physical path. But how end user access the resources available in this directory by using another path. What is that path? Virtual path. That is what you'll say www.flipkart.com. So that is called as a virtual path. The same thing is called what? URL. URL, uniform resource locate or location. Okay, it is a uniform resource location, right? So that is a virtual path. It is not a physical path. It is a virtual path because you don't access the resources here. You don't access the resources directly. You try to access it by just typing one URL. This URL is what here? Virtual path. You'll say www dot some amazon.com. This is called which one? URL. This is URL or this is called virtual direct. But this virtual directory is mapped with what? Physical directory. And I said, who will create this virtual directory? You create a virtual directory if you host your web application on cloud. Okay. That is called as web hosting, right? Hosting is nothing but like generally where you have a website in your system. You want your application should be available or your website should be accessed by all the user worldwide. Then what you have to do? You have to host it. So where you are hosting in cloud. So once you host in a cloud, then how from cloud, how it access? In cloud is nothing but web only. Okay. You host on the cloud, then how you access from the web? Then you create one virtual path. You create one virtual path. I'll show you that in GitHub. I'll show you how to create a virtual path and how to access your web application using that virtual path. But if it is a local server, you don't create any virtual path. That virtual path is created by local server. Okay. That virtual path is created by the local server. That is what I explained in the last class. What is a virtual path? Always a website or web application is accessed using a virtual path. And this virtual path is called a URL. That is nothing but uniform resource locator. This virtual path is created when web application or website go into the live. Okay. So, but local server virtual path is created by the local server only. Okay. Suppose if you see this, okay, yesterday we have seen, okay, So we created one directory. Okay, you created one directory, right? So that directory, now what is a directory? Flipkart. Okay. So every website will have the starting page. And what is the starting page is called index. It means your website is started with one page. By loading one page, and what is the name of the page? Index only. But if you run your website or if you open your website with any other, then is it open automatically? No. So always the starting page must be what? Index page. That is index.html. Suppose I just type here. Now this is a server, right? Now just click on what here, go live. So when I say go live, so what will happen? It open your website in the browser. Okay. But are you type any index.html? No. Your website is started. Your website is started or your website is open with which page? Index.html. Yes or no? Okay, this is called as what here? URL. But are you created URL? So this is a URL, and what URL consists of number of parts. URL is having number of parts. It is divided into a number of parts. And if you see the parts of URL, what is the first one? What is the first one? IP address. What is the first one is called? IP address. And what is the second one? Port number. And what is the third one? A resource name. This is a resource name. So it is having a lot of things. IP address, port number, as well as what? Resource name. So from this location, now this is your project where your project is identified in the server with what name? 5500. Okay, each project may run on different port because in one server you may deploy or install multiple projects. Then if it is installed multiple projects, then how each project is identified with one different port numbers. Okay, but this is a default port number is given. But how to change this port number, I'll discuss. Okay, now this is the name of the resource. So this complete thing is called what? URL. There is a URL and there is a URI and there is a URN. So URL, URI and URN. So what is URN? Resource name. So what is a resource name? Index.html. It means URL consists of URI. URI consists of what? URI. Okay. So this complete thing is URL. Okay. Then what is a URI? Uniform resource identifier. So how it is identified? Your resource is identified with some name that you can call it as website name. Yes, sir. That you can call it as website name. That can be website name. Correct or not? That can be a website name or not. Yes. But is it any site name is there here? Is a site name is there or your port number is there? Port number is there. It means your site is running on which port? 5500. So from this port, you are accessing which resource? Index.html. This is called as a resource name. This is called as what your resource name. And this is what your resource identifier. And where your project is deployed in one system, where your server is running. And what is the IP address? 147.0.0.1. Anywhere, always your local server is or your system is bind with this address only. Sometimes you may write this as a local host. Okay, that is called as a host name. Now in the place of this, in the place of this, I can also write in the place of this, I can also write what? A local host. I'm writing it as a local host. Okay, will it work or doesn't work? Work. You can see Flipkart, today's deals. Is it work or not work? Work. So it means this is what local host is what here? Name, domain name, or it is called, sorry, local host is called which name? Host name. Host name. What is host name? Host name is a wrapper of IP address. Okay, remembering IP addresses are somewhat complex, right? Remembering IP addresses are somewhat complex. Suppose if you take your contact in your mobile, you have a contacts, right? You save The number with what? Name. Why? Because you don't remember numbers, right? Because you don't remember numbers, then you save with what? Name. So whenever you want to call that person, you call that person with what? Name. You search with the name, right? So names can be identified easily. Names can be identified, or remembering becomes what? Easy. Because of that, this IP address is wrapped. This IP address is wrapped within one name, and that name you call it as what? Host name. So 127.0.0.1 is wrapped within one name. And what is the name that here? Local host. Okay, na? This is what here? Local host. Are you getting or not? What do you say here? Yes or no? These are the computers here. Array. Daily you work on internet, but you don't know. Huh? So all these are the computers which are there in what? Network. Okay. Hmm. How each computer is identified with some IP address. It is identified with some IP address. Okay, 127.0.0.1. This is like this. This is you and this is your friends. Okay. All these are your friends. Okay. All these are your friends. This is you and these are your friends. Friend 1 is there, friend 2 is there, friend 3 is there. Okay, na? So you want to call. You want to call to whom? Friend 1. How you call? Name or name. You call with what? Name. Name. If you want, you can call with a mobile. How you communicate? You want to send some message, right? You want to send some message or you want to communicate. How you call it, with his mobile number or not? Yes. So that mobile number is an identification of this person or not? Yes. Here also, every system in the network is identified with one number. And what is that number is called? IP address. Okay, now this IP address is 127.0.0.2. This is 127.0.0.3. But you don't give the IP address. Okay, now you don't give the IP address. Who give the IP address? Network administrators. You don't give the IP address. Okay, now in this system, your server is there. In this system, what is there? Your server is there. It means this is called as which system now? Or this is called as which system now? This is called as which system? In this system, what is there? Server is there. This system is called which system? Server system. The system is which system? Server system. Tell me, what is the address of server system? 127.0.0.2. Inside this server, your project is running, right? What is your project? What is your project? Flipkart. This project is running on which port? Which port? 5500. You want to access which project? Flipkart. Then what you write? 127.0.0.2. Means first you are connecting to which system? Server system. And from this server system, you are accessing which project? Flipkart. How you are accessing it? 555500. And from this Flipkart, what you are accessing? First page. What is the first page? Index.html. Clear? Is it clear this one? Okay, all of you, yes or no? Okay, this is what I said in the last class. Okay, now remember this. And after that, I said what is a after that I said what is a IP address, and I said what is a port number. And after that I said what is a web page. Tell me what is a web page? Web page is a hypertext document which provides user interface for accessing resources. Okay, now I said yesterday I showed practically, right? Now I remove this index.html. Okay, I remove this index.html. Okay, now I just okay, I remove this index.html. Okay, now I just go live here. So what will happen now? Now this is your project, right? This is your project. Which project? This is your project. Which project? Flipkart. But any interface is there? No. It is just shown public SRC. But are you created any interface for your project to access these resources? No. You are not provided any interface. And you are providing the interface. You are creating what here? Interface. But how you are creating this interface? By using one language. What is that language? HTML. I said there are two types of, I said web page is a hypertext document which provides the UI, which provide the UI for accessing resources, or which is used for presenting what data, or it is provide user interface. It will provide user interface. User interface. What is the meaning of user interface? Okay, what is a user interface? Suppose you go to some place. Assume that you go to somewhere hospital, right? You want to talk to the doctor. Okay, then how you talk to the doctor? When you enter into the hospital, there will be what? Reception. So that reception, it provide what? Interface between you and what? Doctor. Yes or no? Okay, you cannot directly go to what? Doctor. If you want to use the services of doctor, you have to do a lot of things. Yes or no? So that is an interface. Now your application is having so many resources. Your application is having so many resources. Then how you access that resources? You required one interface or not? Yes. How you present all those information? You required one interface. And that you call it as which one? User interface. User interface. I said, what is the meaning of hyper? Hyper means what here? Beyond. So beyond text, a text beyond text. It means whenever you open the page, that page will not display the complete information. That page will not display the complete information. Beyond that, you find lot of information. I said, okay, this is called as a, okay, assume that this is one text. Okay, assume that this is a text or not. Yes, this is called as which one? Text, hypertext. This is called as a hypertext. This is also called which one? Hypertext. Behind this text, will you find complete information or not? Yes. It means in one page, you don't get all the information. You keep on link one page with what? Another page. Or you link one information with what? Another. So beyond this text, you find more information or not? Yes. That is called as hyper. That is what is the meaning of hyper here. Okay. Yes. I said these pages are two types. One is a static page and one more is what? Dynamic page. What is the meaning of static page? Static page respond the same for every user. Okay, you open the page, I open the page, somebody else open the page. The content will be what? Same. Getting on or not? It doesn't changes. That you call it as which one here? Static page. So when you're talking about dynamic page, respond different from users. If you open it, you get you that page give one response. If somebody else open, it gives some other response. But you work with the same. You work with the same, but it respond what? Differently. It respond what? Differently. Okay, that you call it as which one? Dynamic page. Yesterday I said one example. This dynamic page is required some server side technologies. Okay, that is JSP, PHP, ASP. These are the extensions for which one? Dynamic pages. And these are the extensions for which pages? Static pages. That is HTML or .htm. After that, I said, what is a HTML is? What is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is which language? Present. Yes, markup language. It is not a programming language. It is not a programming language like C or C++. Okay, no. Because when you are talking about programming languages, okay, they have their own features, right? So HTML is a hypertext markup language. And I said markup language define the structure or layout of the page. Generally, markup languages are used to define the presentation. Presentation, how to present data, how to present information, how to define the layout. All these are defined or created by using which languages? Markup languages. So there is a HTML. HTML is used for creating web pages. And CSS is for cascading style sheets, and JavaScript for developing interactive web pages, and Bootstrap is for CSS libraries. So what is the main objective of learning this course? You should know that. Okay, what is the main objective of learning this course for developing web site? You want to develop a website like Flipkart or Amazon. Okay, this kind of websites or web applications. If you want to develop it, you must have the knowledge of what UI. Okay, nowadays any company in real time required which developer, web developer. Either you are a full stack Java or full stack Python or full stack .NET or anything, you must have a knowledge of what UI. Compulsory. Okay, compulsory, you require this. And after that, I said, what is a browser is? A browser is a software used to communicate with a web application. And here browser is called as which client? Thin client. Why it is called as a thin client? You are not directly going into the server, right? You are not accessing it. You are accessing it by using browser. So it acts as a mediator. Thin client means you are using another software to access it. And browser is able to open any content, right? That can be HTML, images, audio, or what? Video, right? And after that, I said there are different browsers you find. It's like Google Chrome, Edge, Mozilla, Firefox. All these are the examples for what? Browsers. Up to this is clear, right? Then next we'll go for history of HTML. Okay, history of HTML. So if you see the history now, already uploaded all the notes in my Telegram. Okay, now are you downloaded? Okay, please try to download and read it. Okay, please try to download and read it. Okay, so if you read it, then next class becomes easy for you. If you don't read it, no problem. So, okay. But if you read and come to the class, every class will go smoothly. If you don't read and come to the class, it will become problem for you only. Okay. It will become problem for you only. Please, my suggestion is, please come to the class. While coming, before coming to the class, just read the notes and come to the class. And not only that, see, some person want to, suppose, not only that, a person want to, okay, do some certification in HTML. You want to do some HTML certifications. Okay, any UI certification, you can do it. Okay, these are free certification. HackerRank provides. HackerRank provides, okay, certifications for almost all the technologies available in the market. Okay, so just open it and here you can find a lot of certifications. So here you find a lot of certifications. Certify. Just go to certify. Now you can find what is this certification? Front-end developer, software engineer, software intern. Okay, now Angular intermediate, C Sharp, CSS here. CSS basic is there and CSS intermediate also there. Okay, how many certifications you can do? Two certifications, and you have a JavaScript basic and sorry, JavaScript intermediate and JavaScript what? Basic. And even you have a Node.js and Python, and you also find HTML somewhere. Oh, gone. Huh? We'll search. Search is there here. No, 1 minute. You also find HTML. I just show you. I don't know, but you can also do HTML. Okay, but anyway, no problem. I'll just show you. Otherwise, now this is one website where you can find free certifications. It means you don't require to pay anything. You can just do the certifications like CSS and JavaScript basic and intermediate. Okay. All these certifications you can find as a part of this. I think you find HTML also. I don't know. You search it otherwise. Okay. This is the place where you can find a lot of certifications and you can do that. Okay. Right. Then if you are talking about HTML history, okay, if you are talking about HTML history, right? So when you're talking about HTML history, okay, so HTML first, so HTML first introduced by one council. HTML first introduced by one council, and what is the name of that council? CERN. Okay, CERN, which is called as Council for European Research Council. Now, this is a CERN. CERN stands for this is a CERN here. Okay, CERN. Okay, which is introduced. Okay, this is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Okay, this is introduced which one? They develop one markup language called HGML. CERN developed or introduced one language called which one? Not HTML. It is introduced one language called HGML. They introduced one language called which one? HGML. So first markup language introduced by, okay, okay, first markup language. It is history only, but just remember, first markup language, first markup language is introduced by, introduced by, first markup language is introduced by, so one organization. What is the name of that? CERN. Okay. So I just take from here. European Council for Nuclear Research. Okay. European Council for Nuclear Research. This is what you mean by CERN here. Okay. This is what you mean by CERN. So this CERN introduced one language. What is the name of the language is? Okay. So first markup language introduced by CERN, whose name is SGML. Whose name is what here? SGML. SGML it's called as. Okay. SGML. GML. That is nothing but generalized. What is GML stands for? I just take the abbreviations from here. Okay. GML stands for generalized markup language. Generalized markup language. GML. Okay. GML stands for generalized markup language. Okay. What is the name of this? Generalized markup language. Okay. So this is the first markup language. And this later, okay, in later, this language is improved. This language is what? Improved and developed a language, called SGML. Developed one language called which one? SGML. Okay. So when they introduced the GML in early 1960s, early 1960s, they introduced which language? GML. That is generalized markup language. You can see that. Okay. It is a first markup language. Okay. And later this language is improved and developed a language called which one? HGML. HGML stands for standardized. Okay. HGML. What is HGML stands for? Standardized Generalized Markup Language. Okay. It is a markup language. It is also markup language. Standardized. Okay. Standardized markup language. Standardized markup language. So later, later in early 90s, by the person called Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee. Okay, he is also inventor of what? Web. Tim Berners-Lee, also inventor of what? Web. Okay, Tim Berners-Lee introduced a language called which one? HTML. Now, who is the author of HTML? Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee is introduced a language called HTML in early what? 90s. In early 90s. Okay, in early 90s, right? So he's inventor of even what? Web. He's also inventor of which one? Web. So Tim Berners-Lee introduced a language called HTML. HTML is an open source. HTML is open source. Open source what here? Technology. HTML is open source technology. It means now Tim Berners-Lee, he developed HTML and he left. Okay, Tim Berners-Lee, he developed HTML. He's also a member of, is also member of which council? CERN. Is also member of which council? CERN. Most of the authors, I mean, most of the people though developed languages like C language. Suppose if you take C language is developed by whom? Dennis Ritchie. Okay, C++ is developed by Stonestrup. All these people are the members of which one? CERN. Even Bill Gates. If you take Bill Gates, sorry, Bill Gates. Bill Gates, sir. Bill Gates, who is Bill Gates? Owner of Microsoft. He is inventor of which operating system? Windows. So he is also from which council? CERN. Most of the scientists are came from which one? CERN only. Okay, that is nothing but European Council for Nuclear Research, right? So the Tim Berners-Lee introduced a language called HTML in early 1990s. Okay, HTML is an open source technology. What is the meaning of open source? Okay, he developed HTML. After developing HTML, he make this HTML as what? Open source. If it is open source, any person can what? Contribute. Any person can what? Contribute. Contribute means they can add some new features. They can develop what? New features. Okay, they can remove the features. Everyone can what? Contribute. That is the meaning of which one? Open source. Open source. For example, I develop one software. I make that software as open source. If I make that software as open source, what you can do it? You can take that software and you can contribute. It means you can do some changes, or you can add some new changes, or you can delete what existing changes, right? So that is what is the advantage of which one? Open source. Nowadays, lot of demand for which technologies? Open source technologies. Getting or not? You understood what is open source? Understood or not understood? What is open source means? For example, he developed HTML language, and that language source is given to what? Public, so that other people can contribute it. For example, assume that this is one program. This is one program you have written in which language? Okay, assume that this is one program which is written in which language? C language. Assume that this is a program written in C language. Okay. What is it? What is that program I've written? Okay, there is one game. What is the name of this game? Some chess.c. This is my game, right? Okay, this is written in one language. This is written in one language, right? This is written in one language. Which language it is? C language. This software is written in C language. Who understand the C program? C developer, right? Who understand the C program? C developer understands C program. Okay. Okay. C programmer understand C program. C developer understands C program. Suppose if I give this chess.c to one person, if you give this chess.c to one person as it is, which code is you are given? This is called as which code? This is called as which code? Source code. This is called as which code? Source code. Because this is a code written in which language? C language. Is it computer understands C language? No. Computer cannot understand what? C language. Who understands the C language? C programmer. C programmer understands C language. If you give this source to the public, what public can do? Modify. They can modify it or not? Yes. They can modify and they can develop some new technologies. For example, if you see JavaScript is there. Okay, JavaScript is there. JavaScript is what? Open source. Because of that, you find so many flavors of which one? JavaScript frameworks. What is that? What is that? Angular JS. Angular JS. You will say React. You will say React what? JS. You will write what? Node JS. What all these are? What all these are? Flavors of which one? JavaScript. Okay, because JavaScript is what here? Open source. Because of it is open source, some people are contributed and developed one framework called which one? Angular JS. And some people contributed and developed which one? React JS. In the same way, for example, if we take Unix is there. Unix. What is a Unix? What is a Unix? Operating system. And this Unix operating system is completely written in which language? C language. And Unix operating system is what here? Open source and distributed. It is open source. Because of that, this Unix operating system is an open source. You find different flavors of what? Unix. You find the different flavors of Unix. What is that? Linux. What is a Linux? Is a flavor of which one? Unix. So they have taken Unix and developed interface and they said it is what? Linux. Okay, for example, if you take an operating system called which one? Solaris. What is a Solaris here again? Operating system. Now this Solaris is a flavor of which language? Which operating system? Unix. Means how they develop it? How they develop this Solaris or Linux? By using which one? Unix. By using which operating system? Unix. Because it is what? Because it is what? Open source. So what is the advantage of open sources? You can contribute and you can do the changes or you can develop some new technologies by using which one? Source code. Okay, now, so that is what we mean by open source. So Tim Berners-Lee developed what? HTML language. And after developing HTML language, he kept that HTML as what? Open source. So that anyone can contribute and do some changes and release some new versions and do the changes, right? Okay, so because of that, it is called as which technology? Open source. Because of that, it's called as open source technology. Understood? What do you say here? Yes or no? Okay, open source. You write one program. If you give that program to me, what I can do? Can I do changes or not? Yes, I can contribute. Means I put some more changes in that. That is contribution. And develop another game. Proprietary will be there. Proprietary means the source code is not with you. Okay, for example, WhatsApp is there. What do you do with the WhatsApp? You just run the WhatsApp. You open the WhatsApp. Can you see the code of WhatsApp? No. Where is the code of WhatsApp? Where is the code of WhatsApp? Who developed WhatsApp? Meta. Who's, you know, don't know. Okay, no problem. But daily you start with WhatsApp only. Huh? Yes. So WhatsApp is a app developed by whom? Meta. Meta, right? So previously it is called as what? Facebook. Yes or no? Now it is called as what? Meta. Meta is developed WhatsApp. But can you contribute to the WhatsApp? No, you cannot contribute. Why? It is not a open source. Where is the source of this WhatsApp? Meta. Who will contribute? Only Meta people. Any changes has to be done or new version has to be released. Then who will release it? Meta only. Getting or not? Okay. So when it is an open source, anyone can contribute. If it is not an open source, only those people can be contribute. That is proprietary. You have a source code, then you do the changes. If you have a source code, then you do the changes, but changes cannot done by other people. So that is what you mean by open source technology. Is it clear? Clear or not? Okay, next. Now after this HTML, he left this Tim Berners-Lee, he left HTML as what? Open source. So later, okay, later in, okay, 2004, in early 2004, by the non-commercial organization, in early 2004, okay, there is one organization, okay, I just take this, okay, a community, a community name, a community name called IE, okay, it's called IETF. It is called as IETF. What is the meaning of IETF? Is nothing but internet. Yes, online students, anything is there, you put in short window. Okay. If any doubts are there, you can put in short window, right? Okay, right. So a community named, what is that name of this community? IETF. What is the IETF stands for is Internet Task Force Engineering. Internet Engineering Task Force. It is a community. This community maintained which language? HTML language up to version HTML 3.0. So what is IETF stands for? Again, IETF. IETF. IETF, you can see Internet Engineering Task Force. Internet Engineering Task Force here. This is IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. A community name, Internet Engineering. Okay, Internet Engineering Task Force, who maintained, who maintained, who maintained, maintained, okay, maintained, okay, maintained. Which one? HTML up to what here? HTML 3 point, okay, up to HTML 3.0, up to HTML 3.0. See here, a community name, IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force, who maintain HTML up to, because this Tim Berners-Lee, he left HTML as open source, right? Then a community people called IETF, okay, they take over which one? HTML, and start maintaining what? HTML up to which version? 3.0. Up to 3.0. They maintain up to 3.0, right? And after that, in early 2004, in early 2004, a company, a community name, a community name, a community name, what AG? Okay, what AG? What AG? What is the name of the community? What AG is maintained, okay, is maintained, okay, maintain HTML. Okay, early 2004, a community name. What is the name of the community? What AG? These people define some set of rules and regulations. Okay, what they define set of rules are set of standards of which language? HTML. Okay, in early 2004, a community name. What AG is maintained? Which one? HTML. Okay, they maintain HTML. Okay, HTML. Now, previous version of HTML, previous version of HTML is okay 4.4.0, and current version of HTML is 5.0, which is released in year 2000, in year 2014. It means in 2004, they introduced one version called which one? 4.0. Who introduced this HTML 4.0? What AG? It is the name of the community who maintain the standards of which language? HTML. It means whenever they want to release a new version of HTML language, who will release it? What AG? It is the official people who maintain HTML language. Just this here, www.whataj.com. Oh, net is not there. Huh? Oh, Chinese. Huh? Sorry. So what WG? That is web hypertext. I've done the mistake. Huh? What is this? What WG? Okay, not AG. So early in 2004, a community name what WG is maintained HTML previous HTML, but previous version of HTML is what 4.0 and current version of HTML is what 5.0. Now this is the official website. So you can see welcome to the what WG community maintaining and evolving HTML since what 2004. 2004 here. In early 2004, a community name what what WG is maintained which language? HTML language. And previous version of HTML is what? 4.0. But current version is what? 5.0. But in companies are using which version? Is it companies are using HTML4 or HTML5? Companies are using HTML4 or HTML5? HTML? No. Most of the companies still they are using what? HTML4 only. Because here 2004 and this is what 2014 means how many years HTML is used? 10 years. 10 years HTML4 is used. It means 10 years most of the websites are developed using what? HTML4 only. Yes or no? 10 years they used means most of the websites are in what? HTML4. But still those websites are maintained with what? HTML4. But recent website might be developed using what? HTML5. Getting on it because this version is there. See, if you're talking about programming languages, every 6 months they release one version. Every 6 months they release one version. Every 6 months or every 1 year they release one version. Whenever they release a version, is it company adopter? No, they don't adopt it, right? Okay, now HTML4 is introduced in 2004 and most of the websites are written in what? HTML4. Almost how many years? 10 years. Lot of websites are developed already. Okay, it means they are developed using HTML4. They has to be maintained by using what? HTML4 only. Getting or not? No, but the current version of HTML is what? 5.0. So what is a version? Versions are nothing but changes or not? Yes. So there are some changes in HTML5. You also called 5.0 or the same thing is called as HTML5. It is released in which year? 2014. Understood? Okay, it is a small history of which one? HTML. Okay. Tell me who is the father of HTML? Tim Berners-Lee. Okay. And Tim Berners-Lee developed HTML using, you can say HTML is a superset of, I'm writing here. HTML is a superset. HTML is a superset of GML and HGML. It is a superset of GML and HGML. GML stands for Generalized Markup Language. HGML stands for Standardized Generalized Markup Language. Okay. It is a history, but just remember it. Okay. Tell me the name of the first markup language. What is the name of the first markup language? GML. What is GML stands for? Generalized Markup Language. Who developed this? CERN. What is CERN stands for? European Council for Nuclear Research. Okay. And later this language is improved and developed one language called SGML. Standardized Generalized Markup Language. And this SGML and GML is taken by whom? Tim Berners-Lee and introduced which language? HTML in early 1990s, right? HTML is what? Open source. Open source means anyone can contribute. So who contributed first? IETF. IETF stands for Internet Engineering Task Force, who maintained HTML up to which version? 3.0. Then this HTML language is taken by whom? What WG. What WG is a community name in early 2004 and maintained till till it is maintained by which one? What WG. And what is the previous version of HTML? 4.0. And it is introduced in which year? 2004. But what is the current version of HTML? 5.0 or HTML5, which is introduced in 2014. Clear? Okay, then now what is what WGs here? All these are the standards. Okay, all these are the standards. Now, if you want to know the syntax of any HTML tag or HTML element, you come to which one? What WG. You don't look in what any other website. Yes or no? Because these are the people who define what standards. These are the people who define what here standards, and you can find complete content here. You can see full table of content with all the syntaxes and rules and regulations, everything. Everything is you find as a part of which one? As a part of this what? WG. So what is this? What WG stands for? Web Hypertext Application Technology Work Group. Okay. So I just copy this. Okay. Yes. So what WG stands for? What WG stands for so Web Hypertext Application Technology Work Group is a community name. It is a organization name. You can say it is a community name or what? Organization name who maintained HTML language. Now, this is a currently who's maintaining HTML. These people are maintaining. Okay. These people are maintaining HTML. Sorry. Okay. These people are maintaining HTML. Try to understand this. Srija, right? These people are maintaining HTML. Okay, understood? All of you? Okay, generally, nobody will tell you all this. HTML means first class only. They'll open and start telling, okay, HTML with extension dot HTML extension with what? HTML, right? But we are talking everything in detail. Yes or no? Huh? Yes. Then next, now who is executing this HTML? So who execute this HTML? Okay, yes. So next, what I'm talking about is now you write a web page, you create a web page. Yes, you create a web page. You create a web page. Now this is your web page, right? This is your web page, or the same thing is called as HTML document. So where you open this web page or who understand this HTML? Who understand this HTML? Or who understand this HTML? Who understand this HTML? Who understand HTML? Where you open this HTML page? Where you open here? You open within the browser. You open this HTML within the browser. You write a C program. After writing a C program, you need to run, right? To run, what do you do first? Compile. What do you do first? Compile. Compile, right? Compile and then execute. Compile and then execute. Computer understand only one language. Which language? Binary language. Computer understand only one language, and that is a binary. Yes or no? Now, this web page is written in which language? HTML. HTML, right? And who understand this HTML? Browser. But how? Browser should have some translator or not? Yes. Browser should have some translator. Translator. And the translator must develop by following the standards given by whom? What WG? For example, you develop one web page using HTML 3.0. Okay, HTML 3.0 or HTML 4.0 or some older version. So this version may not be supported by which one? Browser. What is the meaning of supporting and not supporting? For example, just to see. For example, you have a suppose Python only if you take. I write a Python program in Python 2.0. I write a Python program in Python 2.0. Is it this Python 2.0 is compatible to 3.0? No. The program what I write in 3.0, I cannot run in what 3.0. The program what you write, there is no forward compatibility and there is no backward compatibility. Now, the program what I write in 3.0 cannot understand by what Python 2.0. Which one? Which one here? Translator. Which one here? Translate. Are you getting what I'm telling? Backside. Backside. Yes, just see here. Are you getting what I'm saying? Okay. So you are writing HTML page. You are writing HTML page where you execute this HTML page within the browser. Who understand HTML? Only browser. Don't think that browser understand only HTML, but browser understands so many things. I said no, browser understand images, browser understand audio, browser understand video, browser can execute JavaScript. Browser is having so many things. What browser? Okay, what I'm talking about is browser. I'm talking about browser architecture. Browser architecture. So browser means you know only one thing. What is a browser? Browser is used for communicating with what website. If you want to communicate with a website, you are using which one? Browser. So let me explain this in detail. So what is a browser contain? What is the architecture of the browser here? So browser provides. Okay, browser is a program or not? Yes. Browser is a program or browser is what? Software which provides, okay, which provides you to communicate, which provides end user to communicate, which provides end user to communicate with what? Website or what? Web application. Website or web application. But what this browser will provide? You find so many browsers, right? You find so many browsers. Okay. For example, what browser will provide? Browser is having interface. Browser is having interface. Browser UI interface. Browser is providing one interface, right? Browser UI. Browser user interface. Suppose you open Chrome or you open anything. Are you finding any interface here? You have an interface or not? Yes. Browser is having interface. What is that interface? What is this? Previous. What is this? Next, what is this? Refresh. What this is called as a interface? Which interface? Browser interface. What is this interface? Browser interface, right? If you click on previous, it will go to which page? Previous page. If you click on next, it will go to which page? Next page. If you click on refresh, then reload or refresh, it will load this page again or not? Yes. And also browser is having some options or not? Yes. You have a bookmarks here. There is a bookmark is there. Yes, this is bookmark. And you also find some options or not? Yes. All these are what? Interface. This is which interface? This is which interface? Browser interface. This is called as a browser interface. So what browser will provide? Interface, user interface, where you can interact with the browser. Second, what browser will provide? Browser also provide which one? Persistency. So browser is able to store the information or not? Yes. Browser is able to store the information or not? Yes. Browser, see, when you open certain websites, it allows you to enable or disable what? Cookies. Cookies are nothing but a small amount of data which is stored within what? Browser. Okay. For example, history. History is held by the browser or not? Yes. Bookmarks are held by which one? Browser. Is it browser is having a persistency or not? Yes. Persistence is nothing but storing. Persistent is nothing but what? Storing or saving data. Persistence is nothing but storing or what? Saving data. Persistency. Okay, persistence is nothing but storing or saving the data. That is called as a persistency, right? Like suppose I said just now, what is it here? Bookmarks. It is always to store which one? Cookies. Cookies. And sometimes you'll try to store what? Passwords. You'll say, no, remember my password. When you open it, will it read that password or not? Yes. All these are the persistent related with what? Browser. So browser means don't think that it is only browsing, right? It is providing so many facilities. It is providing so many facilities. One is user interface. Second one is what? Persistency. And third one is networking. Networking will be there. Networking means now you type one URL, right? You type one URL. Once you press enter, what will happen? What will happen? What will happen? You type the URL and press enter. What will happen? Now your browser should browser should establish what? Connection. Your browser should establish what? Connection to whom? Server. But who is doing this? Browser only. So browsers support what? Networking. Means it will create a socket. If you go in detail, right, it will create one networking socket and plug into which socket? Server socket. Yes or no? So who is connecting to the server? By just typing URL, is it connected to the server? By just typing the URL, it is connected to the server? No. Who's connecting it? The connected by whom? Browser. So browser is having a facility to communicate with what? Other system. That is called as what? Networking. It supports what? Networking. Not only that, within the browser, you find some engines. Within the browser, you find some engines. Browser engines. Browser engine. Okay, you find a browser. Okay, browser engines. Within the browser, you find some engines. Are you getting or not? What do you say here? Browser means don't think that it is only a browser. Okay, it is a client software only. But what browser is providing to the end user? Okay, browser is providing what? User interface. Okay, user interface means where it will provide one interface where you communicate, you do certain operations within the browser. You'll say back, front, refresh. All these are what? User interface. Yes or no? Then next is, it is providing what? Persistence, means storing of which one? Data. So within the browser, can you store the data or not? Yes. You'll say bookmarks. You'll say save my password. Save my password. When you say save my password, is it your password gets saved or not? Yes. When you open next time, are you entering password or open automatically? Open automatically. But where is the passwords are saved in the browser? Is it browser will have a persistency or not? Yes. And not only that, when you type URL and press enter, what happened? It connect to what? Server. Who's connecting? Who's connecting? Browser. Are you write any code for connecting? Are you write any code for connecting? No, you have not written any code for what? Connection. Who is doing a connection? Browser. So it support networking or not? Yes. And it is also having some engines. It is also having some engines. Okay. It is also having some engines. What is engines? These are nothing but some translators. These are nothing but some parsers. For example, you have an HTML and CSS. Who will execute HTML, CSS? I said, computer understand only one language. It has to be translated or not? Yes. For translating, what you required? Translators. What you required? Translators. Suppose whatever you write, is it recognized by HTML? No. You should follow some set of rules and regulations. So within the browser, you'll have some browser engines, or you find some parsers. You find which one? HTML. This is called as a browser engine. I'll say browser engine, and second one is render engine. Okay, render engine. Yes. Yes. Browser acts as an interface between the end user and what? Server. Browser engine, render engine. What is this here? JavaScript. JavaScript, what here? Engine. You find JavaScript. JavaScript engine. Okay. JavaScript engine. Getting or not? So all these are the part of which one? Browser. Okay, for example, you write a code in JavaScript. Yes or no? Whatever you write, is it executed? No. Okay, before executing, it has to be translated or not? Yes. So who will check the errors? Who will check the errors? You required some translator or not? Yes. You'll be using a JavaScript interpreter. JavaScript interpreter, and this JavaScript interpreter is a part of which one? Browser. This JavaScript interpreter is a part of which one? Browser. Okay, na? And not only that, you try to open HTML, CSS. Okay, HTML and CSS. So who will convert this HTML and CSS? Understand by whom? Browser. Who will understand this HTML and CSS? Understand by the browser, by using one engine. What is that engine? Browser engine. Browser engine. What browser engine will do? Convert this HTML, CSS. Understand by whom? Browser. And after translating, there will be one more engine will be there. What is that engine? Render engine. We'll discuss in detail. But if you see this browser architecture, you find lot of phases. Browser, just see here. Browser architecture. Okay. Just to see any image, right? Okay, you can find here. See. Now, if you see this browser architecture, this is, see, not beginners, but those who are experience how browser works. See here, what browser is having. See, now if you see this, what is this here? User interface. What is this? Browser engine. What is this? Render engine. What is this? Networking, JavaScript, and UI backend. So this is user interface. For this interface, there is what? UI backend. Okay, and then data persistence. Even it allows what? Data persistence here. What is user interface? This is an interface for browser. It includes what? Address bar, where you type the address bar or not. Yes, okay, address bar, okay, back button, bookmarking options, refresh button, all these are what? User interface. See here, there is a browser engine. So browser engine marshals actions between the browser user interface and the browser's rendering engines. Here, browser rendering engine, the rendering engine is responsible for displaying the requested content, but there are different phases will be there. I'll discuss that. See here, how many phases are there here? It means you don't get the page directly. So there will be lot of, there is a lot of, there is a lot of processing is done behind what? Displaying one page. Displaying one page. Displaying one page is called as painting. That is called as painting. Okay, paint. It will paint because all these are graphics or not. Yes. So it will paint it. But what is that? We'll discuss. Okay. Now, not only that. See, this is a complete process. Now, there is also which layer? Networking layer. So, networking layer is responsible for making what? Networking calls to fetch what? Resources. It means who will establish connection? Browser. Okay. Now, there is what? JavaScript engine. The JavaScript engine is used to parse and execute which code? JavaScript code on the DOM or CSS OM, right? Now, these are different. Now, UI backend is there. The layer is responsible for drawing the basic widgets like selector, input box, windows. All these are done by which one? UI backend. There is also data storage. The browser need to save the data locally. Like what? Cookies, caching, data storage component handle all this part. See, it means browser is just a browser. Browser is just a browser. No, browser is not just a browser. It is providing so many facilities. It is providing so many facilities. Okay. But if you are talking about browser engines, each browser will have different, each browser will have different browser engines. Yes, you understood this one? Okay, I'll just write about what is this browser UI, browser UI. What you are you getting what I'm telling you? Yes or no? Okay, browser UI. What is browser UI? Browser user interface. Browser user browser user interface. We'll start, don't worry. We'll start HTML body. That will start it. Okay, don't worry about that. But you should know some technical terms. Yes or no? What is HTML body, paragraph? Oh, even LKG student can write it. B means bold, U means underline, I means italic. Yes or no? But technically, you should know what you're learning, right? And this will be helpful if you are moving to React. This will be helpful if you are moving to what? Angular. Okay. If you are learning just without knowing all this, then learning those things becomes what? Complex. Yes or no? Okay. Just try to understand. So browser user interface provides, so provides facilities. So facilities to communicate with, to communicate, to communicate with what? Browser. Okay, like what is the example? What is the example? Okay, what is the example? You have which bar? Address bar. You have what? Refresh. Okay, you have a refresh, address bar, refresh. Okay, back. Okay, forward. All these are what? Activities done by whom? End user. But how you are doing this activity? You need to input some you need to input something in browser or not? Yes, that interface you call it as which interface? Browser UI. Okay, now next is persistency, data persistency. data persistency. Okay, data persistency. Data persistency. Okay, browser is able to, browser is able to, browser is able to persist, browser is able to persist or store which one? Data. Like what is the data? Cookies. Okay, cookies and SNO, bookmarks, all these are what? Data persistency. Next one is networking. Browser is able to support which one? Networking. Networking is nothing but browser. Yes. What is networking here? Browser. So browser establish communication between client and what is that? Server. And taking, okay, it's nothing but its responsibilities like taking the request and generating what? Response. Okay, so it work with, okay, browser work with two things. One is a request and one more is what? Response. Browser take the request and send it to home. Server. Server give what? Response. Response is nothing but what? Output. But this output is received by whom? Browser. And after receiving output, who's displaying it? Browser. So it support which one here? Networking. That is maintaining communication between the client and server. That is done by whom? Browser. Okay. Yes. So browser UI, data persistent, networking, and there is a browser engine, render engine, JavaScript engine. What is the responsibility of browser engine? What is the responsibility of browser engine? Browser engine. What is the responsibility of browser engine? The responsibility of browser engine is translating browser engine. Browser engine, okay, responsibility is, okay, browser engine responsibility is translating HTML and CSS understand by which one? Browser. Understand by browser. These are nothing but parsers. These are nothing but what here? Parsers. These are called browser engine. Sometimes they may ask you, what is the name of the browser engine used in Google Chrome? What is the name of the browser engine used in Google Chrome? Yes or no? See, you may use different versions of compilers, right? C compiler. See, you may use Turbo C, Borland C, Microsoft C. Yes or no? Turbo C developed by Turbo. Borland C compiler developed by Borland. Microsoft C developed by Microsoft. These are what? Compilers. These are what? Compilers developed by different companies. And not only that, if you say Google Chrome is developed by Google. Okay, and Edge is developed by Meta. Edge is developed by Microsoft. Edge is developed by Microsoft. Okay, Chrome is developed by Google. It means within Edge there will be which engine? Or within Edge there will be one engine, right? Which engine? Browser engine. Okay, what is the name of that browser engine provided by whom? Microsoft. What is the name of the browser engine provided by Microsoft? What is the name of the browser engine provided by Google Chrome? Getting on it. This engine responsibility is translating which code? HTML and CSS. Understand by whom? Browser. See, browser cannot understand. See, always computer cannot understand what? English. Computer understand only which language? Machine language. It has to be translated or not? Yes. It has to be translated. That translation job is taken care by whom? Browser engine. But it is translated into zeros and ones. But will you see web page in zeros and ones? No. Then that has to be what again? Render. So there is one more engine is there. What is that engine? Render engine. Rendering. Until unless it is not rendered, it is not displayed what? Page. Right? So that is a responsibility of which engine? Render engine. Browser engine, render engine. This is the internal architecture of what? Browser. So there is one more engine is there. What is the name of that? Render engine. I'll show you with the picture how it has been translated. With the example, we'll see. But we are learning theoretically. But once we start HTML, I'll explain how it has been done. How it has been done. It is converted into zeros and ones, and these are rendered by whom? A render engine. It is just like, for example, when you do some video editing, okay, you upload the video and you edit it. After editing, if you want to make your video to be available, what do you do it? Render is nothing but convert in a viewable format. That is called as what? Rendering. Here also same thing is done by which engine here? Render engine. Okay, so within the browser you find two engines. One is the browser engine and one more is render engine. We'll discuss in detail. So render engine. So render engine responsibility. Okay, responsibility is displaying what? Content. Displaying content within what? Browser. I'm just written like this, but displaying means it done lot of things that we'll discuss later. Okay, na? So after browser engine, it is sent to which engine? Render engine. Next, what you have is a JavaScript. You also have a JavaScript translator. You also have a JavaScript translator. The job of JavaScript translator is translating which code? JavaScript code. Okay, executed by JavaScript It's nothing but JavaScript interpreter. JavaScript interpreter which execute, which translate and execute which code? JavaScript code. Who execute the JavaScript code? JavaScript translator. Because JavaScript is embedded within, tell me here, JavaScript is embedded within HTML. Okay, who execute this JavaScript code? By the browser. But a browser is able to understand JavaScript? No. JavaScript, you require a translator or not? Yes, because JavaScript is a programming language. JavaScript is a programming language. Okay, it is a high level programming language. Is it understand by the computer? No. You have to translate. Then you required what? One translator. Which translator? JavaScript translator. And this JavaScript translator is a part of what? Browser. The JavaScript translator is a part of which one? Browser. Understood or not? Okay, there are a lot of things available in what? Browser. Okay, na? Yes, here. Browser is a program or software which provides end user to communicate with what? Website or web application or same thing you can call it as which one? Server. Okay, na? And browser will provide so many facilities. What is that facilities? Browser UI, persistency, networking, browser engine, render engine, JavaScript engine, all these are provided by browser. Okay, na? Yes. So what is a browser UI? Is a user interface which are used by end user to communicate with what? Browser. You want to input something in the browser. You require some interface or not? Yes. You require some actions to be performed in the browser. What browser will provide? One UI. And browser is able to store the data. Browser is able to communicate with what? Server. Okay, take the input and generate the out, not generate the output. Sending and receiving is taken care by which one? Browser. And browser engine is responsibility of translating HTML and CSS understand by browser. Render engine, actually it is understand by render engine. Render engine responsibility is displaying content within the browser, which is given by which one? Browser. Whatever input given by browser engine, that will be rendered and displayed within the browser. By whom? Render engine. And JavaScript translator responsibility is translating or interpreting which code? JavaScript code. Are you installing all this? No. Suppose if you want to work with the C, you need to install C software or not? Yes. If you install C software, what compiler you'll get? C compiler. Because you write a program and compile and execute. Okay, na? Then you write HTML. Who will compile and execute? Who will compile and execute? Who will compile HTML and execute? Browser. Because who's having a translator? Browser. Array. Browser is having it. Are you installing any software for working with HTML? No. Are you installing any software for working with the CSS? No. Are you installing any software for working with JavaScript? No. Where is all these translators are? Which are the part of browser? That's it. You want to work with a Java, then you should download Java software, right? And then you write a program, compile and then execute. You want to work with a Python, you download this software, Python software, write a program and compile and execute. But I write HTML. I write HTML, right? Who execute this HTML? Browser. Then browser should have some translator or not? Yes. What is the translator? Browser engine. Browser engine is responsibilities converting HTML and CSS into what? Understand by the browser or render engine. Understood? Yes or no? Okay, this is how browser will work. So some people may have a doubt like I'm working with HTML, but I'm not install any software belongs to what? HTML. Not install any HTML software, right? Then how it is executed? Yes or no? Some translator should be there or not? Yes. Where is that? Browser. Understood? Okay, right. So then next, this is about browser architecture. Then just we'll move into HTML. Now HTML, we'll talk about HTML. HTML, what is that? Tags or same thing you call it as which one? Elements. Before, like, yeah, up to this all of you clear or not? Okay, yes. So now tell me who developed HTML? Tim Berners-Lee. Tim Berners-Lee introduced what? HTML. And it is developed using which language? GML and HTML. Okay. Now currently who's maintaining HTML language? It is maintained by what? WG. What is the meaning of what WG? What stands for Web Hypertext Application Technology Group. It is an open source community group who's maintaining and release new HTML version languages. Who maintain HTML language and release the new versions of what HTML language. Now till from 2014, now today, year is what? 2024. Okay. Now HTML5 almost how many years? 10 years. But still any other version is there? No. Okay, 10 years onwards, you are using the same version. What is it? HTML5. Okay, na? So the current version is HTML5. Understood all this? Okay, then we'll talk about HTML tags or HTML elements. Okay, but we'll see, right? Today, na? Next class. Today, na? Next class. Next class. Okay, in the next class, we'll see HTML tags and what are the classification of HTML tag, what is a tag, what is a element, all this we'll see in detail. Okay, now this notes I'll be uploading in my Telegram, please. This notes I'm uploading in my Telegram. Just to see this. This is my Telegram ID. Okay, right? Just join this Telegram. Okay, right. So we'll stop here and we'll continue on Monday. Thank you. Right. So Monday we'll see it. Thank you. Right. Yeah, your IP address will be same only. Until unless you don't define, your IP address is same. Okay. Until unless you don't define, your IP address is same only. Okay. Right. Browser is a client software and server is a server software. Okay. Browser is a client software and server is a program where you install your website. And from that server, you access your websites. Okay. Okay, right? We'll see. I'll tell you about render engine later, Karthik. I'll tell you what is render engine later. Okay. So once we start HTML, I'll discuss about what is this render engine and all the things. Okay. If possible, I'll upload. It's already there in the chart window, right? That admin is uploaded. Let's see that. Okay. So it is there in my Telegram. No, no, this course is not required. For cyber security, is not required. Yeah, might be not helpful. See, this is web development, not networking course, right?